Hello guys, thanks everyone for joining us. I'm Joe from Orbis Connect. It's our second time that we've teamed up with Kodiri and Pusher to bring you these cool challenges. So today's based around JavaScript and React. Ricardo will talk more on the technical side of things. But yeah, we had really good fun last time, so really excited for this. I'm going to get involved myself, so not too hopeful of that, but I didn't do too badly last time, did I, Ricardo?
You did really well, Joe.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll have a lot of people getting involved. Ricardo will go through the sort of itinerary, I guess, and we're going to be looking at all the results at the end and seeing who comes out on top. So we're looking forward to that, and hopefully I'll be up there myself. How you doing anyway, Ricardo?
Yeah, I'm really good. Thank you very much, Joe. How you doing with the lockdown?
Yeah, not bad. I guess we're sort of used to it now, aren't we? From the first one. Yeah, I'm in Essex, so I think we're tier 2 as of tomorrow. So I can get out and about just, but yeah, it's still not going to be back to normal just yet. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's better than before, I think, and it's with the weather as well. It's not as hot, so you're not as more tempted to go outside, are you?
Of course. So true.
So yeah, so do you want to give us a quick run through then, Ricardo, how it's gonna be structured?
Yeah. So today I would like to play some coding challenges with you. So we're gonna do two things. So first of all, I would like to invite the audience to go to kodiri.com. Once you land on the web app, what you'll find is this is a coding platform that we created some time ago. It's completely free, non-profit. We are trying to help people with their coding skills, with a special focus on supporting and privileged and underrepresented communities. Of course, if you want to get involved, if you want to help us, you don't even need to be a developer. We are now trying to translate the platform to multiple languages. Any help, any contribution will be highly appreciated. So let's talk a bit about the platform. So here you can practice with your coding skills. So the first thing you'll find out is that you can select between different languages, frameworks, libraries. So let's just do a quick demo just to show how it works. So imagine that we wanna learn JavaScript. I guess, Joe, that now JavaScript React is very, very trendy, right? So many companies are. Right. So imagine that I want to become a developer myself. So, what I will do is I will select JavaScript, for instance. Then you can select different difficulty levels. So we start from the very, very basic. So if you've never touched any line of code before, don't worry. We are here to support your coding skills from scratch, literally. So then
these are the ones I've done, actually, the lower beginner ones on JavaScript.
Nice. And how you
Yeah, do you know what? I scored pretty well. I don't know if that was beginner's luck or not,
No.
But it obviously helps. I think at these lower beginner levels, that you'll probably show it in a minute, but it's sort of multiple choice, isn't it? So
yeah,
it just gives you a good understanding then of the actual concepts itself, rather than the actual physical code, physical coding. So yeah, it was good. But yeah, I seem to score pretty well, actually. So
nice.
Quite pleased.
That's good. That's good stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, you say that. So one of the things with the Kodiri is we give you scores, right? So we believe that having some sort of healthy, friendly competition is positive, because that's a way to train. That's a way to improve yourself, right? It doesn't matter how good or how not good you are. The important thing is to see that you are progressing, and we prove that you are progressing because of the scoring system that we manage, right? So this is some sort of online game. You can play by yourself, you can play against others, and today we're going to actually do both. So first of all, just a quick demo. So imagine that I want to learn a bit of JavaScript basics. So I will select a topic. So we got multiple topics in any programming language, of course. So let's start with the most fundamental one, that is probably strings. That is about displaying messages and things like that. So the very first time you click on it, what you'll get is on the left-hand side, you're going to receive like a question. And on the right-hand side, you'll have to complete a piece of code, relatively simple, few lines. In this particular case, because I selected the most fundamental difficulty level, the code is partially written, as you can see. There are some gaps, some placeholders we have to fill. So in this particular case, the question is, please, Mr. or Mrs. Developer, create a method or a function in JavaScript called getWelcomeMessage. So whenever we execute it, you should display welcome to JavaScript. Yeah, that's the idea. As you can see on the right-hand side, the function is partially created, but then there is a single placeholder that we have to complete. So, Joe, I'm sure you can help me here.
Yeah.
So which one will you select, A or B? Why?
I would go for A on that one, Ricardo.
A, yeah, they're very similar, right? If you need to pay attention to detail, but this is what coding is about. Coding is about, detail. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Many developers out there make a lot of money, and most of the things they do is to putting a comma in the right place. Yeah, but the difficulty is finding where that comma goes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, imagine that I don't trust you. I'm going to ignore you for a second, and I say, no, you are wrong. The right option is B. So let's mark option B. You see the code becomes red, obviously, because that's not what we wanted. If we pay attention, the sentence we have to build says, welcome to JavaScript, and then there's a subtle exclamation mark. So obviously, if we change our mind, if we follow Joe's guidelines, then you see that we get some confetti. That obviously means that the answer is correct. Yeah. So once we got the question right, we can submit it, and then we jump to the next one. So the idea is for each topic, we can be talking about building messages. We can be talking about mathematical operations, about conditional, about whatever. Yeah. For each topic, we got 5 questions. I'm gonna skip the next ones, but the idea is that at the end of the 5 questions, you are gonna receive a score, and this is what Joe was talking about before. So the score is the way we tell you how good or how not that good your exercise was, right? So that's a way to keep track of your progress. So if I score 16, but then I try again and I score 25, that means that I got better, right? So that's pretty much the idea. This is again completely free. You can train by yourself, no problem at all. Today, however, I would like to place something related but slightly different. So if you go on the left-hand side on the menu, you'll find out something called challenges. And that's what I would like to play today. So on challenges, you will see that there are a few challenges created by different members of the community. I would like to focus today in the first 2 rows. So one that says React live coding challenge with Orbis and Pusher. The second one that says JavaScript live coding challenge with Orbis and Pusher. So you can see that we've got for each technology, either React or JavaScript, we got different difficulty levels, starting from the very basics. This is what we've done before. Lower beginner is like a quiz game, A, B, C, D, you pick the right answer. Then we got upper beginner, which is obviously a bit more complicated. You need to do a bit of coding by yourself. And if you are an experienced developer, then you can go straight to upper intermediate, where you have to face some more spicy challenges. Yeah? You can join multiple games. The challenges will finish at 5 to 7. So feel free to pick a challenge, complete it. You can leave it if you find it is too easy or too complicated. I mean, let's just have some fun. This is not a very, a very high level competition. The idea is to have some fun, and if we learn something, even better, right? So I would like to invite you to play the challenges, and then again, just before 7, at 5 to 7, we will present the results. We're going to play by teams, so don't worry, don't feel afraid if you think that you are not like a good developer, because you're going to be part of a team. You'll see in a second. So once, imagine that you select JavaScript lower beginner. What happened when you join the challenge? You need to select a team. Yeah, teams are just random groups of people. In this particular case, you need to decide whether you prefer Italian food or you prefer Greek food. So what was
Ricardo? That's a tough question. I can't decide between them.
Yeah, so I mean, we can pick one, and then on the next challenge we'll change. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, good idea.
All right, so let's start with Italians, and then let's Joe, let's have a look to the questions that our friends are dealing with at the same time. So I will, because we got just like 40 minutes. I would like to pick just maybe a couple of questions on each challenge, so then we'll do a bit of everything, right?
Yeah, cool.
All right. So question number 1, talking about food. Is the restaurant good or poor? So we are trying to figure out, the main that we are creating a new unicorn, a new multi-billion mobile app where we want to recommend restaurants to our users, right? So there are a couple of filters that we can play with. First of all is the hygiene rating, how clean the place is. And then is we got the how tasty the food is, right? So we will recommend a restaurant to our relatives, to our friends, if these 2 conditions are met somehow, right? So if the hygiene rating is at least 3 out of 5, and if the food is tasty enough, right? By the way, this is completely off topic. I was recently walking around central London and I found a place that had an hygiene rating of 2 out of 5, right?
Oh God!
Did
you get anything?
No. I was just walking around, but this, I said, that was a bit strange, right? Because they were like very proud. It's like, hey, 2 out of 5. But hey, listen, maybe it was 1 out of 5 before, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Everything is relative in this line.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, this is the algorithm we need to write. So essentially, we need to find the combination of both rules, right? You see, is the restaurant good function receives 2 arguments. First of all, a number, which is the rating between 1 and 5 or 0 and 5. And then we got, this is what we call a Boolean, right? Which is true or false, like a switch. So both conditions need to be satisfied. You can see that on the right-hand side, the options are playing with these flags. And then essentially we need to play with a couple of concepts here. First of all, the Boolean algebra, right? So AND operator versus OR operator. So not sure, Joe, if you came across these concepts before about the differences between AND and OR. Can you do you get any thoughts about that?
Yeah. So I think with the I mean, for me, I'll be looking at between A and D, just based on the hygiene rating of at least it has to be at least 3. So I guess A and D, that says the hygiene rating is equal to or more than 3. So, and then obviously with the it has to, as well as that, have tasty food. So it needs to have both. So then I would go for D, because if it's got the and, yeah.
Great. I like the way you explained the problem, the way you broke it down into small parts, right? So first of all, you're right. I think the most obvious thing is the score, the rating needs to be at least 3, right? So even if you haven't touched in line of code, I'm sure everyone remembers from school that the greater symbol, greater or equal, right, means that, that's at least 3, right? So definitely, I really like the way you essentially filter out B and C by just keeping A and D. And now the second bit is, we need to understand the differences between AND versus OR, right?
Yeah.
So this double pipe in JavaScript stands for OR, while the double ampersand stands for AND, right? In this case, because we want both conditions to be met, then option D will be the right one. Exactly. So,
just a question there, Ricardo. So if you only put one AND sign, what would happen there? Would the code come back return wrong?
A single ampersand, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a completely different operator. That's something completely unrelated. Yeah. I know that in some languages there are some implications, some related implications regarding Boolean algebra, but not in JavaScript. So JavaScript, that stands for something completely different. So you can ignore it just to keep things simple.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
Really good question, Joe. So I think that's pretty much it. If you play a bit with language like Python, you may know that in Python, Boolean algebra is probably a bit slightly more human friendly, because rather than playing with pipes and ampersands that are a bit overwhelming, Python just use literal like and or, right? So it feels a bit more human friendly. Yes, little details, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So yeah, let's submit it. Let's have a look to question number 2. It's slightly more complicated. First of all, because we need to choose between 5 options. So then what we got here, maybe we're building some sort of dictionary of user information. We're building a database. And at some point, we want to build a user interface to display the name of the current user, right? So you can see on the left-hand side of my screen that I'm highlighting the shape of the user object. And then, long story short, what we're going to get is just the first name. Yeah. So we got it here, and then you got it there. So the challenge about this exercise is finding a way to iterating over what we call a nested object. Yeah. We got an object. This is the main object, but suddenly one of the properties of the object, which is the name, has another object inside. Yeah, so we got 2 nested objects. So the important thing here is that in JavaScript, the way you navigate, the way you drill down through different objects is by using the dot. Yeah, that's what we call the dot notation. You can type A.B.C.D.E, yeah, and so on. So that's the way you can go down until you find the property that you're looking for. Based on that, Joe, do you have any thoughts about where your money is here?
Yeah. So again, using a sort of process of elimination, I would probably say that name has to be there. In the answer, so that rules straight away. That rules out A and C, and first would have to be there, so that rules out E. So then that leaves me with B and D. I mean, if I was to have a punt, I guess that you need to have user on there as well. So I would go for B.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Joe. So yes, you're right. We need the user because that's the name of the argument. That's the name of the variable that holds the information about the user, right? So yeah, I think you spot on, right? That's completely right. And then if we play it, that's correct. Nice one. You're getting much better, Joe.
I know. Yeah. I just like seeing the confetti when I get it right.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's very exciting. Yeah. I agree. Cool. Anything else, Joe? Or do you want me to just jump to a different challenge and do something a bit different?
Yeah. Carry on. I think that was fairly self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Not that I'm trying to say that I've cracked JavaScript now at all.
No, but I think it's a good starting point. Also, just to warm up a bit, I think it's really good, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
I am going to. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
I'm going to jump in myself soon and give these a go. So hopefully I'll be near the leaderboard.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That will be fantastic. Actually, that's a good point, Joe. So we didn't mention that, but because we try to encourage collaboration and team effort. So in here you can actually do things like checking where you are in the leaderboard. So for instance, you can see where everybody is in the ranks. So that's a good way to try to get better by climbing on the ranks. Also, if you are that kind of competitive mindset, you'll find yourself hopefully one day in the Hall of Fame, where you can get many metrics about the best developers today, yesterday, the week, the last month, the best developers by country. We've celebrated some international coding events in the past. Yeah, so hopefully next year, once we get the vaccine, we'll be able to run some nice events, right, with hundreds of developers playing by teams. That will be fantastic. So yeah, I mean, and you can even see things like the best countries, right? So you can see where the talent is in the world, right? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, I do keep an eye on that. I must admit, I go in and have a look every now and again.
Yeah, I think it's the first time, Joe, that the UK is not on top 1 this month. And look at France; they are pushing a lot. So
doing well.
Yeah. I think they got stricter COVID measures, so they stay at home.
Yeah, exactly. They got more time to.
They got more time to play. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, by the way, very last thing before we move to the next challenge, one of the things we're introducing is the interview quiz. So in here, you can essentially face a series of interview-related questions. So when you select it, so what you will get is, it's like we're simulating that you're in a job interview. It's kind of a quiz game as well. But the thing is here, if you, for instance, if you don't know the answer, you can check the answer. So we are telling you, hey, the right answer is A, B, C, or D because of whatever. Yeah. So that's still work in progress. But yeah, feel free to play with it as well. I'm sure one day next year we'll play some challenges with this sort of mechanism or game structure. Yeah. Also, something else we are doing, Joe, is we're introducing some sort of Mario Kart gaming methodology next year. So
really?
we'll be playing a challenge, and every time you get an answer right, you'll get like a turbo. So you'll see in a map that you are progressing. If you fail, then you'll slow down. No,
that's really cool.
Yeah. It's definitely something that hopefully will encourage people to participate and to play a bit more. Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, so back to the challenges. Let's do a bit of something slightly more complicated. So, for instance, let me do upper beginner, still in JavaScript. Then after this level, if you want, we can jump to React and do something a bit different, right? So upper beginner, what we got here. So let's select the Greek food. Do you have any favorite dish about the Greek food? No.
Any what? Sorry, say that again.
Any favorite dish? Any favorite recipe or
Greek food?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love the like souvlaki. Is it souvlaki? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. You know, like the wraps with the like chicken, pork. Oh, yeah.
Nice. I like that as well. Yeah. Cool.
There used to be a little Greek stall by my office, and they used to do them. But yeah, back in the days of normal life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, we'll go back to that soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So what we got today here? Oh, question number 1. Check if bigger. I like this question because there are multiple. We can attack the problem from many different angles, and it's good because eventually we can compare these different approaches and then analyze which one works better and why, right? If any. So I think the problem is pretty simplistic from a human point of view to understand. So we have a function. The function receives that's what we call an array, which is a list of data, right? Could be a list of colors, a list of animals, a list of politicians, doesn't matter, right? In this particular case, we've got a list of numbers. And then our function should check whether any of the numbers is greater or bigger than 1. So for instance, in the first use case scenario, that function will return true because there is a number, the second one, bigger than 1. In the second use case scenario, pretty much the same, it will return true because we got not 1, but 3 numbers greater than 1. However, look at what happened in the third use case scenario. The function will return false because none of the numbers is bigger than 1. Yeah, all of them are below 1. So yeah, I think from a human point of view, that's very easy to grasp. But now let's move to the dark side. Let's move to the technical aspect of this question. I'm gonna offer you different alternatives, Joe, and then you'll tell me whether you like them or not, or if, of course, if you got any different approach, I will love to play with it. So one of the things we could do is we could create a variable. Let me create a variable number bigger than 1, for instance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my array, and then I'm going to find a number, and then let me check if I got a number greater than, not 0. Oh, sorry. What the hell I'm doing? Number greater than 1. Yep.
So is it important where you actually wrote the word 1? Is it important that you do that there? Whereas in the function you've just put the number 1?
Nice. I was thinking about asking you that later on, but because you spotted, yes. So yeah, semantics, right? This is something that tends to be, I don't know, not ignored, but not really, it doesn't used to be considered as important topic, yeah? Especially when you start coding, because you just want to solve problems. You don't care about readability. But you know, I think readability makes a difference, right? And many developers, not many, but some developers, they say, hey, but listen, if I'm, for instance, if I'm building an app by myself, I don't care about readability because I understand what I do, right? And that's true. However, I like a quote that says that every software company has at least 2 developers, you and you 6 months later. So even if for you today doing something crazy makes sense, like if I do something like that, I equals 45. I today, right now, I may understand why I'm doing that, but in 6 months I will forget for sure, right? So
yeah,
I think semantics, you spot on again. Semantics are vital. So if a function has a 1, then let's try to keep consistency. Yeah. I believe that if we are wrong, let's be consistently wrong, because at least we're following a pattern.
yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so the thing is now, because we are using find will stop. Will look for a number greater than 1, and it will stop as soon as it finds it. Yeah, but the function is expected to return a Boolean, not that number greater than 1. So what we can do is we can do something like that. If I got a number, so if I got something there, then return true. Else what, Joe?
Oh, bigger than what?
So if I found the number, return true. The opposite will be
false. Right.
That's right. That's
okay.
right. Yeah,
I was trying to overthink that.
yeah. You see, but that was actually simpler, right? Than probably than the original thought. Yeah. So I guess that will work, because if we cannot find any number, for instance, let's pay attention to the last use case scenario. Our variable number bigger than 1 will return undefined. That means that condition won't be satisfied. Our code will jump straight to the return false line. Yep. All right. So yeah, I mean, I guess that will work. Let's test it, and then let's see if we can improve it somehow. Yes. See, so that works. Even though personally, Joe, I find that this is a bit, I think it's very educational, but in a real life scenario, that's not probably what you will do, because that feels, look at how many numbers we had to write, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. The more we write, the more we are likely to fail. Yeah. So let me try to change that a bit. So one of the things we could do is to replace that if-else expression with what we call the ternary operator. We already came across the ternary operator on the very first question, but let's review it again. So what we can do is we can type, I'm just translating these 5 lines of code into something slightly different. I can type return. Do I have any number greater than 1? Then look at the question mark. The syntax is a bit particular, a bit peculiar, right? True. Else false. So you see, that line of code is equivalent to these 5 lines of code.
Right, okay.
So let's run it. It still works, right? Do you have any questions, Joe?
No, actually, that was it makes complete sense. Just simplifying it, like you say, the less code you have there, the less to go wrong.
Yes, and yes, I completely agree with you. And actually, let's improve it even further, because I mean, I have nothing against this approach. You create a variable and then fine. However, there is a very sexy method in JavaScript called sum. So sum will iterate over the array of elements, and then it will return a Boolean. That means either true or false. If at least one of the elements satisfies the condition, then that variable will be true. If none of them satisfies the condition, the variable will become false. So we don't need that structure if else. We don't need that. We can simply do that. See? Interesting. Even simpler, right? Even simpler, and even from a readability point of view, right? I think it's slightly easier to follow personally. So yeah, and you see it still works. So yep. Anything else, Joe?
No, not at the moment. Just actually, good question. So why would some developers not just do this straight away, use that sum function?
Well, again, there are different approaches, right, towards solving the same problem, which I think is nice because we can see different flavors.
Yeah.
To me, sum what gives you is simplicity, right?
Yeah.
You show that with find we can solve the problem. We can even solve the problem using things like filter or reduce or for loop. So we can spend 2 hours solving this problem, right? To me, there are two things we should take into consideration. First of all, is simplicity, and to me this is very, very simple.
Yeah.
And then so simplicity from a technical point of view, but also from a human perspective. Yeah. Because the code should be readable and easy to understand by developers. And in that respect, there is something I'm not fully happy with here. Look at the variable name, array. Then I got a question for you. What happens if I rename array with Brexit? Do you think this is going to work?
I don't think it's going to work, only based on how you asked me.
All right, fair enough. The thing is, let's figure out, right? Let's figure out what happened when you test it. Look, surprisingly, still works.
Right. Okay.
And what if we rename Brexit with another thing? It's going to work. It doesn't really matter, right? So this is the basket where we capture the data that the function receives, right? So technically speaking, you can write anything you want here, yeah. as far as obviously you keep consistency. So if I call it Boris, then I will call it Boris, yeah, all the way.
So as long as it's consistent, it'll work.
Exactly. Yeah. However, my question is, from a readability point of view, do you think this is appropriate?
Do you think it's what? Sorry,
is appropriate? I mean, is this like a valid approach? Is this something that you will deliver as part of your production code? Will you call that variable? Yeah, like meaningful.
Right. Okay.
Does it describe the purpose of your algorithm?
No, not really.
Clearly not, right? I mean, Hey, listen, it works. You mean it works, right? But the thing is, if you came across that piece of code, the first thing you'll say is, hey, who the hell wrote that, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. So again, back to what you spotted at the beginning of this exercise, semantics. Yeah. Semantics, yeah? Let's try to improve the semantics of our exercise. Originally, we got array. Array is obviously better than Brexit. However, to me, I think it's not ideal because array is a technical description of a data structure, yeah? An array is a comma-separated list of things. My suggestion, and I would like to hear your thoughts, Joe, is what if we rename array with numbers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that makes it clearer in terms of what you're actually looking for. So yeah, I think that's definitely better. Yeah.
I agree on that. I think you're giving more context to next person, dealing with this algorithm that, hey, this is a list of numbers. Yeah. And it's important to call it in plural numbers because you get a list, right? And also look, numbers and then some number. So you see plural versus singular. I've seen many people typing here something like value and hey, listen, that's gonna work again, right? You can call it however you want. But again, if I like to suggest to stick to a given business domain. So if you call it numbers in plural, then if you need to use the singular, call it number. Don't call it value. Don't call it X, Y, Z. It's called number, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else, Joe?
No, cool. Learning a lot as always.
Nice. That's good stuff, yo. That's good stuff. We are always learning. That's fantastic. We've got 15 minutes left, so I'd like to suggest to do a bit of React, something quite simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I spoil the results, quite a lot of people playing here. That's good. So React, let's start with the basics as well. Yeah, I think today is quite beginner session, right? Which is it's good, right? So sometimes our audience tell us, hey, the first half was very nice, but the second I got lost with the complex algorithm, right? So
yeah,
I think it's good to sometimes focus on the basics. Of course, in the future we may have a session a bit more advanced for mid-level to senior developers, but I think we got enough. Yeah. JavaScript algorithms and data structures. Well, we got some of these things already. So on the playground section, particularly if you jump to the bit more mid-level to senior challenges, we got plenty of data structures. So we got modules that particularly specifically talks about dealing with strings, dealing with objects, dealing with arrays. So yeah, we got all of that. Something I didn't mention is that when we create a challenge, the questions are randomly selected from the backlog. Yeah, but of course, I like the idea. I think in the future we may want to have a more specific challenge. So today's challenge is going to be just about strings, or just about arrays, or just about this particular topic. So yeah, I think that's a good idea, something to consider for the future. Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Again, I'm not like actively maintaining it. There is a bunch of people out there helping. You probably notice that some of the questions were created by different people from many different countries. So again, if anyone is interested in collaborating, we will really appreciate that. Something I didn't mention is that Kodiri is also supported, of course, for free on mobile platforms, so you can download it for iOS and Android, and then you can play there, right? All right, so yeah, let's do a bit of React before we call it a day. So lower beginner, let's start from the basics. I think we got enough problems in 2020, so let's do something a bit more relaxing. Let's go back to Italy, and look, question number one, to me it feels overcomplicated, right?
yeah.
Too many placeholders, it's 6:45. So when playing a challenge, there is, apart from proving your expertise, there is something called the strategy factor, right? Like this is like playing chess or playing football or driving a car in a motorsport competition. We got the strategy, right? The strategy means, hey, I got 50, 60 minutes to solve 5 questions. I know, because this question feels a bit complicated, that it's going to take me a while to get the confetti. So you know what? I'm going to skip it. At the end of the challenge, before you submit it, if you got time, you can come back and fix it, right? But I don't want to ruin the productivity by just spending half of the session solving one question. I'll skip it, and if I got time, I'll get back. All right, and then look at question number 2. Yes, by out of coincidence, feels much simpler, right? Because we got a single placeholder to deal with. So React, we didn't talk much about React. React is a UI library created by Facebook. It's arguably the most popular UI library created for JavaScript today. It's the most popular at the commercial level, at least in Europe and in America. And with React, we can essentially build user interfaces in a comfortable fashion, right? So React works with components. A component is a piece of code that we can reuse. So imagine that you want to travel abroad. You select dates when you want to take the flight, and then when do you want to return. You got like a calendar, right? So that calendar is the same component that is being reused multiple times across the web app. So this is how React works. You create a component and then you reuse it as many times as you want. That's the idea. So in this occasion, our component is called welcome. So again, we're creating a new web application where we want to welcome our customers, and we may want to display that message across different views in our web app. So the idea with React is that we can customize the behavior of our component. We can pass parameters or properties, to be more precise, technically speaking. So in this particular case, our component is called welcome, and then it receives a single property called user. Yeah. So in the first use case scenario, the user is called Peter. So our component will return welcome to React, Peter. Yeah. So in the second use case scenario, the user that has landed in our app is called Laura. So the message will be welcome to React Laura, yeah? And so on. So on the right-hand side, once again, you got the code partially created, thankfully, and we just need to fill the gaps. So there is something to note here is that the data that our component receives, that user, is managed by this argument called props. And that's an object. So do you remember, Joe, a few minutes ago, we talked about how to deal with objects with the dot notation, A.B.C.D. You remember that?
Yeah.
Based on that idea, what is your money here? What do you think about this particular exercise?
Well, based on that, I'd probably rule out A and D.
Yeah.
Because I think we need to have props in there. I would probably guess at B, props.user. I don't think we need the. I can see from your reaction that you're not too sure on that one. Let's give it a go. See.
All right, but I mean, again, I really like your attitude towards problem solving, because what you've done is, rather than trying to find the answer, first of all, you are filtering out what the nonsense, right?
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you. So now we are moving between deciding between 4 options to 2 options, which obviously simplifies the problem. So we need to use props somehow, somewhere. So definitely A and D don't apply here, right? But now between B and D, let's mark option B and see what happened. Look, it didn't work. And now let's pay attention to the output, Joe. Look, expected, welcome to React, props.user.
Oh, yeah.
So what that means? That means that we are typing literally on the screen props.user.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've received, I happened to me a few times, you see that the typical marketing email that's saying from a company I sign up accidentally saying, hello, $user, blah, 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 blah. The first thing you say is, who is $user, right?
Yeah.
So it's this kind of problem. It's this kind of problem. So they fail to what we call interpolate. Yeah, we need to translate that variable, which is props.user, into the actual value held by the variable. Yeah, we will do that with React, as you already figure out, of course, is with using the curly braces. Yeah, when you type curly braces in React, to simplify things a bit, that means that you don't want to display props.user. You want to get the value associated to props.user, right? Then you got the confetti.
Yeah, makes sense. So those the brackets. So what do you call them? Curly brackets.
Curly bracket or curly braces, yes.
Curly braces. Okay, yeah. So that basically gives that a value then instead of the actual.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one of the most fundamental principles when dealing with React, right? So I'm really happy that we came across that particular problem. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Cool.
See, that's why I went for B, just so you can explain.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Nice one. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Joe. We got 6.5 minutes left. So should we do something a bit more spicy just to wrap this up?
Yeah, I was going to say let's do something a little bit more challenging. Although I'm not too sure exactly how much I'll help out with this one, but it'd be good to see. It'd be good to watch you do your magic, Ricardo.
Okay, no, I mean, this is still beginner, so I'm not gonna do anything crazy today. But let's do a bit of coding, right? Sorry, I took the wrong challenge. That's the one we already covered. So let me go back to the challenge list and let me select React. Here you go, React upper beginner, and then let's just see what we got here. So you can see this is slightly more difficult because we need to write everything by ourselves. We don't get any help. But the idea is fairly similar. Look, in this occasion, we want to display an input text. An input text is, because as it explains, well, my dog is apparently wanted to do some coding here. That's a bit unexpected. So yeah, so an input text is a piece of code that essentially you're giving the user the chance to enter some information. You know, when you sign up into a web application, so you enter perhaps your first name or your last name, your email, your password. When you interact with the app, you're entering data. So that's an input, right? So in this occasion, we are going to create a component that essentially gives you the chance to display an input with a default value. You see, value means that rather than displaying the input blank, we may have to pre-fill the input with some information. I don't know. In some occasions, that could be interesting. Even though you don't feel very convinced about that, Joe.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just yeah. Go on, carry on. I am with you. That's just my face that I make when I'm trying to take everything in.
Okay, fair enough. And then the placeholder, that I'm sure this is gonna be a bit more easier to understand. The placeholder is the grayed out text you get in the input when there is nothing on it. Yeah, you know, when you sign it into the platform, you get, generally speaking, two fields: email and password. And when the email input is blank, you get a message like saying something like, please enter your email here. And as soon as you start typing, that hidden or partially hidden message is completely gone, right? So that's the placeholder. So long story short, here we are expected to create an input. And here we got the challenge of understanding the expectations. They're not that simple. Following the instructions could be a bit complicated. So here we are using a standard way of testing React components. And as you can see, the way we select the component, and this is just a standard CSS selector, is please find an input, that's the tag, with an attribute, that's because of the square braces, type text. That's a standard HTML attribute to enter some information. Yep. And now, we need to deal with a couple of properties. So first of all, what's going to be the default value of the input and what's going to be the default placeholder of the value. Of course, we could hard code that. So we could type here, hello, Joe. And then here we could type, please enter something. But yeah, but that's not going to work, right? But that's the idea, right? The thing is, we need to bind, we need to link value and placeholder with the props facilitated to the component. If you remember props here?
Yeah.
So do you remember, Joe, what we did before? How do we translate hello, Joe, or whatever into the information facilitated to the component? Do you remember the syntax we wrote before?
Oh, do I remember the syntax we wrote before? Yeah, as soon as you tell me, I will.
So before we got a property called user. So what we typed was curly braces, props of user.
Right, yes.
Here the property is called value.
Right, okay, cool. So that would, I don't know, I think I might be overthinking this again.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you want to give it a go? So what happens if I type props.value?
Well, that's what I was going to say, but I thought that would be too obvious. Is that right? Oh.
Do you remember, Joe, what happened? Ah, yes, exactly.
We need the curly braces there.
Yes. That's the graphical description of what we need. Yes, you're absolutely right. We don't want to display props.value. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. We want to bind, we want to link with whatever the value is from the top, right? So that's why we need the curly braces, as you said. And then pretty much the same thing with the placeholder, right?
Yeah.
So here we type props.placeholder. holder. Yeah. And then, yeah, so hopefully that will work. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks good to me.
Let's have a look. Yes, that works. That works. I would like to suggest a few changes. We're running out of time, so very, very, very quickly. First of all, we got a surrounding div. So we got the input and then a div. A div is like an HTML element. My suggestion is, unless you have a good reason to have a div, just delete it. Just keep it simple, right? Why do we need a div there? Do we need it for any reason? Apparently not, right? So let's leave it there. Let's just remove it. So now, you see, it still works, but the code is simpler. Another thing to note here is, let's have a look to the elegance warning. We'll see in a minute, Joe, that some developers will struggle with what we call the elegance. The elegance means how standard your code is. So here we have some rules. One of them is your code should stay below or behind that vertical line. Yeah. Why is that? Because very long lines are often hard to read. So we encourage, the code should be, this shorter the better in that respect.
Yes.
So how can we do that? Well, we can simply, let's just add a break line before each attribute. I think it's even easier to read, right? Because you got now a key value list, one after the other. So personally, I find it easier to read.
Definitely.
And the very last thing, that's a bit more advanced. So you see, we've been historically speaking today, typing props, props.this, props.that, props.user, props.value, props.whatever. That's a bit exhausting. So there is a new technique in JavaScript called object destructuring. That means that rather than typing props all the time, I can do something quite sexy, that is just inspecting the contents of the props. So if I do that, and look, the code is even simpler and easier to follow. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And what was that called?
This is called object destructuring.
Objective structuring.
Destructuring. Yeah. There is also something called array destructuring, which follows the same principle. Yeah. Hopefully, next session we'll come across that particular pattern.
Yeah. Cool.
And yeah, I think we're out of time, Joe. So any final thoughts?
No, I'm just excited to see the results. I didn't manage to get to do the React one, only the JavaScript one. But interested to see how everyone got on. Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, thank you, Raj, for participating again. It's always great to code with you. And yeah, now let's have a look to the results. I think the challenges are over, if I'm right. So they should be over. Yeah, I think so. So let's have a look let's start with JavaScript, and then I will jump to React. So yes, give me a second. I need to make sure that all the data is correctly calculated. So this is JavaScript. All right, so let's start with JavaScript, and then let's jump to React. So first of all, what can we see here? So this is what we call the player's performance pentagon, the PPP. So here we're essentially evaluating the performance of each player. Yeah, you don't know if you are the yellow shape or you are the blue or the pink. You don't know. But the thing is, each player is represented by a color. So visually speaking, we can see how easy or how hard the challenge was. The bigger the shapes are, the easier the challenge was, right? So you can see that, well, let's have a look to the different metrics. So first of all, tenacity. That means how many questions out of 5 each developer has completed. Then we've got accuracy. That means how many times we submit the question and we fail. I think we failed a few times today. Developers getting really low scores here. That's what we call that. We've been playing in Street Fighter mode. Not sure if you remember Street Fighter, when you just hit the buttons randomly because you wanted to get the battle sorted. Yeah, so that's the accuracy. Speed, I think that's self-explanatory. So how long it took you to solve the challenge. Focus, how many times you left the tab and you went to Google or to Stack Overflow to get help.
And last but not least, elegance. That's what I was talking about. Elegance means how standard your code is according to our linting guidelines. All right, so these are the anonymous results, but obviously let's pay attention to the eventual results. So today we've been playing by teams. So, well, first of all, look at what happened. So we got plenty of Italian food lovers. So
I'm the only Greek. Oh no!
You're the only.
More Greek food for me then. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So you're a solo warrior today here, yo. Anyway.
Yeah.
So by the way, here we're calculating the median score of each team, right? So we'll see what's the median score of the Italian team versus the median score of the Greek team, which is essentially how good or how not that good your performance was. So also here you can see we got the title associated to each player. So we got different ranks. So for instance, Imperial Majesty, that means these are top 10% players, so the more senior, the more skilled ones. You're on the second level. That's great. Oh, that's great. So you're a Majesty. That means you're in the second 10%. So you're top 20% in the.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. That's really good. That's really good. Cool. All right. So, sorry, I clicked somewhere. Let me go back. Here we go. So let's have a look to the score of the Italian food lovers team. Well, look at that, 93 points. So what do you think, Joe? What's your score, above or below 93?
Oh, I don't know. It's going to be tight, I think. Actually, it's going to be tight.
So you're quite confident.
Maybe I think maybe in the 80s. I might be in the 80s.
Really?
Maybe.
Okay. Let's have a look. So Joe's score today is, look at that, 86. Nice. You got it right. You got it right. You can see that the main difference, actually, everything was very, very close. However, the difference was on the focus, you see? So the Italian team got a better focus. That means that probably, and that's absolutely normal. That's not a problem at all. You needed at some point some external help. You need to go to Google or to get help.
Well, I was doing this while I was speaking to you, so I'll take that as so that's why I kept switching windows. I didn't realise that it was scoring me down. I might have won otherwise. No, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with 86, and
nice.
Yeah, well done to the Italian food lovers on that.
Exactly. Cool. Nice. That's the spirit. Joe. All right. So 1-0 for the Italian team, and now that's if I'm right, that's upper beginner. You see. Obviously, the more complicated the level is, the smaller the saves tend to be, right? In this case, someone struggling quite a lot here in the middle, but still getting some questions right, which is obviously wonderful. So let's check the ranks. So what we got today, it's going to be quick, right? No one supporting the Greek team, so it's going to be quick. So look, Italian lovers 89, and then no one playing with the Greek team. You can also see at the bottom the individual results, so you can see who finished first, who came second, and so on, right? Cool, good stuff. What about upper intermediate? So that's obviously the most complicated level we played today regarding JavaScript, at least. So let's check the ranks. So what we got today here? 1 versus 1. So it's our friend Giacomo. I'm sure he's watching us, versus a guest player, right? So Giacomo is one of the top players of the platform. So it's very, very, very hard to win a battle against him. But hey, who knows, right? So Giacomo's score was, of course, really, really good, 91, unsurprisingly. And then, of course, the other player had to surrender, right? But it's good. I think it's good that person got 2 out of 5 questions sorted. So I think that was very, very, very nice. By the way, guys, I didn't mention that, but if you go back to the challenge you've played, you can do something. So, for instance, imagine that I'm the guest player and I want to learn from Giacomo, because Giacomo is obviously a really good reference. So what you can do is you can go to the compare code, where you can essentially compare different code solutions. So you can see different coding styles, and one is not necessarily better than the other, but it's good to have different references, different points of view, and hopefully that will teach us about how to solve code. Also, if someone struggles with a question, the code becomes red, so we can analyze why that code didn't work. So there are different ways to learn, not just by playing, but also by trying to understand what other people did in that particular exercise. All right, so last but not least, let's have a look to the React results. So we've got 3 challenges. So let's quickly rebuild the results. So first of all, we'll play, let me just make sure that I got all the results. So that's lower beginner, that's upper beginner. Sorry, I'm loading, upper beginner, and I think finally, and no one has completed upper intermediate, yeah? I believe. It's a bit weird. I think we only get 1 person finishing React. I know many people tried. I'm not sure if there was any technical issue. If there was, guys, if there was any technical issue, just drop us a message and we'll have a look afterwards. Oh, really? Okay. Oh, that's a bit unfortunate. Oh, sorry about the guys. This thing happened, right? Sometimes we came across this kind of problems, but obviously we'll do our best to sort them out as soon as possible. So yeah, obviously this pattern is going to be a bit strange because people probably didn't manage to get many points if there was a problem somewhere, right? Yeah, you can clearly see many people try to get some scores. Yeah, but no one actually, apart from 1 person, managed. It's a bit strange, right? How come 1 person managed to get some points? Maybe I'm wondering whether maybe one of the problems was broken because of whatever reason, and that person, what she did is just skip it. So then, even if obviously it's not going to get 100 points, but at least managed to get some points, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps. But look at that, 88 points.
Done very well.
Really, she did really well. Cool. What about the upper beginner? So on the upper beginner, I think again 1 person managed to get some points. Let's have a look to the results. So in this particular case, look at that. That's pretty impressive. So 97 points in the upper beginner. That's really good.
Very good.
Yeah, and I think eventually no one really got points on the upper intermediate, which is obviously quite challenging. Yeah. Yeah. Again, apologize for any potential problems with on the React track. As I said, we'll have a look to what happened later on tonight. Apart from that, I hope you liked the experience. I hope you had fun. Thank you very much, everybody. Of course, thank you very much, Joe. Not sure if you want to share some words just to wrap this up.
Yeah, I really appreciate doing this again, Ricardo. Really enjoyed it again. Always learning new stuff. It's good to see everyone getting involved. Yeah, really enjoyed it. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to the next one already.
Cool, fantastic. Thank you very much, guys. Have a lovely evening, and please stay safe and see you soon.
Cheers, guys. See you later.